I get it, you're standing in the middle of a job site or your garage, staring at a half-empty tank, wondering if the next purchase will just sit there collecting dust or actually solve the fuel run-out headaches you've had for months. You don't want to throw another $200 into a product that won't fit your setup, and you definitely don't want to waste time wrestling with a tank that's more trouble than it's worth. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The RDS 71789 rectangular auxiliary/transfer combo tank is the kind of thing you hear about in forums when people talk about extending run time on generators, lawn tractors, or even small construction equipment. It's a 51-gallon steel container with a rectangular footprint, which means it can slide under a bench, into a trailer, or sit in a tight corner where a round drum would be impossible. The combo part of the name comes from the fact that RDS ships it with a basic siphon-type transfer tool, so you can pull fuel from the top of the tank without having to lift the whole thing or use a separate pump. If you're the type of buyer who runs a portable generator for weekend projects, or you have a lawn mower that you keep in a shed and you need a longer-lasting fuel source, this tank can be a real time saver. Imagine you're setting up a weekend off-grid cabin. You've got a generator that's rated for 8 hours on a full 6-gallon tank. By adding a 51-gallon auxiliary, you're looking at roughly 68 hours of operation before you even need to think about refueling. That translates to fewer trips to the hardware store, less downtime, and a smoother experience for anyone relying on that power. On the flip side, if your equipment is already wired for a built-in fuel tank and you don't have a convenient place to store a large auxiliary container, the extra capacity might end up being more of a logistical headache than a benefit. The tank itself weighs a good amount when filled, well over 300 pounds, so you'll need a sturdy dolly or a forklift to move it around, and you'll have to think about where you're going to park it. For someone living in an apartment with limited storage space, the sheer size could be a deal-breaker. One of the practical strengths that stands out is the ability to siphon gasoline from the top. Many auxiliary tanks require you to hook up a pump or tilt the whole tank, which can be messy and risky. With the RDS combo, the included siphon tool lets you draw fuel through a small opening on the lid, so you can keep the tank upright and avoid spills. In real-world terms, that means you can refuel your generator right where it sits, without dragging a heavy container across the yard or setting up a separate pump system. A hidden trade-off, though, is that the siphon method is manual and can be slower than a powered pump. If you're trying to fill a 51-gallon tank from a smaller source, you'll end up spending a decent amount of time at the pump. For most hobbyists that's fine, but if you're a contractor who needs to move between multiple machines quickly, the manual transfer could become a bottleneck. The tank also doesn't come with an integrated venting system for rapid refilling, so you'll need to make sure the lid is properly secured and the vent is clear to avoid pressure buildup. Another point to consider is the material. RDS markets this as a steel tank, which gives it durability against dents and punctures that you'd see with lighter aluminum or plastic options. In a shop environment where the tank might get knocked around, that steel construction can be a real advantage. However, steel does tend to rust if it's exposed to moisture for long periods, so you'll want to keep it in a dry place or apply a protective coating if you're storing it outdoors. Users who have left similar tanks in damp basements have reported a light surface rust after a year, which is mostly cosmetic but something to keep in mind. The rating on Amazon sits at 4.2 out of 5 from just under 1,000 reviewers, which suggests most people are satisfied, but there are occasional pain points. Common themes in the reviews talk about the tank's solid capacity and the convenience of the siphon tool, while a few mention the weight and the need for a solid surface to set it on. That aligns with what you'd expect. A big, heavy steel container does the job well, but it isn't something you'll want to toss onto a flimsy workbench. So, who should buy this? If you're a homeowner who runs a generator for backup power and you have a garage or shed where the tank can sit safely, the RDS 71789 gives you a lot of extra run time without the need for a separate pump system. If you're a small-scale contractor who needs a portable fuel source for a few pieces of equipment and you